Like, what are we doing?
Corey Graves, the ignorant slut. Cannot pronounce the word coup de grace. He says coup de grace.
Welcome back to a very special episode of This is a Takeover. My name is David Hensley, and I'm the owner and creative director of Long Walk Productions, and I am here tonight to introduce your host, Shelby Ray Patterson.
Thank you, David, and welcome to This is a Takeover. I'm Shelby Ray Patterson.
And I'm Gina Belmont.
And I think our eyes have finally adjusted from all the color that was just
blinding
splashed onto our faces.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't even know where to start, y'all. First off, David, thank you for that lovely introduction. It definitely took me off guard.
But it's trying to not laugh.
Well, that's what I love to do to my host right before a podcast starts, is throw them off track.
Especially when this host is so fragile to begin with after watching the show.
Fragile. It's such a good choice of words.
It is a good choice of word. So, we are your NXT babes.
What's up?
And as you know, as you probably can tell from the description, we're not reviewing a takeover.
Not at all.
We are reviewing the first episode of NXT 2.0. Which, the fact that I even have to call it 2.0...
Ew.
It's, okay, I'm going to be that NXT nerd for a second.
Yes.
If we're going to be going numerically, this should be like NXT 4. Like,
yes.
Seriously, though, because it first started off as the game show, then we went into, like, developmental, then we went into, we're a different brand, NXT, and now we're back at developmental. So really, it's 4.0.
Yeah, or at least a -2.
But
because we went
that's
back
my
2 steps, but
that's my NXT nerd showing.
No, that's good. I'm glad you had that. I did not have that background.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
But, yeah, so we just kind of thought we would come on.
There's a lot to discuss.
Well, we talked about this at the end of our last Takeover review, how we weren't sure what was going to happen, because all these reports were flying out that things were changing, and we weren't sure what was going to happen, or who was going to be in charge even.
Or who was going to leave.
And, and I mean, a lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot of people have left, but there's some big people that have left.
We'll discuss that.
And, like, there have been some people who are now not a part of production anymore, who were when the last time we, came on the show. And, I mean, Triple H had almost what was a freaking heart attack.
Yeah, like he went into cardiac arrest.
And had to have surgery right before this show went live, like a week or so before. Now, I may be getting my dates wrong on that, guys, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
And we already knew that Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard were more than likely going to be taking over.
Yes.
And after watching this show,
It's abundantly clear.
it's so clear. Like, just to start off, just so everyone knows, friends of this show,
Hi.
if you have listened to us, you know how meticulous I am with my note-taking. And I started to take notes because I was like, I'm just going to, we'll break down, each section and we'll, like, talk about it like we do a Takeover. I got about, like, midway through the first hour and I had to stop because I don't know if it was I was getting frustrated or I couldn't follow the story. Like, I was lost. And that's the first time that I have ever wanted to stop taking notes.
You find joy in it.
Yeah, I do. I really do. Yep. And it just made me feel sad because, and then Gina was watching this with me and she legit takes my notebook away from me and puts it down.
Because her face, when Shelby is focused on something and trying to find it in the depth of her soul, it's like, okay, no, I'm gonna help you. Like, okay, we got this. We'll figure it out.
I'm taking the notes away.
I took it away.
Is not bringing you joy. Like, you need to stop.
Chuck it.
So I started taking notes, and then I just decided that there were 3 questions that we were going to try to answer. So I wrote down. So first off, what do we think about this new show? So, Gina. First impressions of this show from the very first episode, pilot episode that they're calling it.
it is such a jarring change to go from pitch black and occasional lighting, an occasional cool like pyro, to just an utter explosion of seizure warning level of color.
I mean, I am not very sensitive to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I, at the end of it, was like, my eyes felt like I hadn't blinked in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it was so bright. And I think there was one thing that we noticed, because I had said during the show that it reminded me of, you know, how during Dynamite,
yes,
and I guess now Rampage, how the screen is constantly moving.
Yes.
Right? And to me, that is triggering to, oh, someone's coming out.
Yeah, like,
Right? Because normally the screen stays the same with the logo, like,
yes,
stationary. So whenever there's ever movement on the big Jumbotrons, I automatically think, like, oh, someone's coming out.
yeah. And
right?
you don't even have ADD.
I don't.
I do.
So I don't, from your perspective, I'm sure this was like, where do I go? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just the flashing lights, too.
Well, so what they did was they had the NXT 2.0 logo on the screen the entire time, which is like, okay, that's fine. But it was constantly moving.
Yeah.
And like
the-
not just moving, but like flashes of color would come in and out, and you would see it out of the corner of your eye, and then you would get so distracted from the match that you would look at the screen, like fully turn your attention away.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I'll get into later on, but like,
Yeah.
it really bothered me that I was so distracted.
Yeah. I understand the idea of coming in and saying, okay, we already know we have an uphill battle to get their attention back. We know we have to literally climb mountains and move mountains.
Well, yeah, because according to the ratings, like, they're like dying essentially.
Yeah.
Like even after they moved to Tuesdays, like the
Yeah.
ratings still aren't that great, and
Yeah.
they were trying to fight back because essentially they were put against AEW's top show.
Yes.
And this is WWE's third ranked show at best, right? So you're putting your third ranked show against another company's top ranked show.
Like-
So I don't know how you thought that you were even going to remotely win that war. Because to me, like, if you only have one show to watch per week from this one company that you really, really like,
Yeah.
are you going to choose to watch that show? Or are you going to choose to watch the third show of another company?
That is fair.
Like, even though it was different at the time,
Yeah.
like, you still, to me, that's very stiff competition. Because with AEW, they had no other programming for you to watch.
Yeah, unless you went to YouTube, which was their dark and whatever they had. And
Which
know
I
you
don't have time to do that.
I know you have feelings about that.
I do, but because most of their women's division is on YouTube. But yeah.
Another story. Never mind. Anyway, but I understand like coming and being like, okay, we got to go big. We got to go hard. We got to get their attention back. We got to, make them excited again. Give them like, a little pep in the step. But it was a scary train wreck in a weird way. Like not a full like absolute like. It was too much. Like it was too much. And as someone who, and we talked about this, we talked about how we were nervous about just like, not only just everything in general, but about the wrestling, about story and all of that. It was just hard for me to even focus on that because of the money that was thrown at the lighting, which, I mean, I'm glad they have money thrown at them in a way, that they're in like a Tampa location.
Well, yes and no, because they said that they are in Orlando now.
Oh, Orlando, excuse me.
Guess what also is in Orlando? The Performance Center.
Yes, it is.
So if you look at where, like, the way that it's laid out, when you go back to like April and May of 2020 when the pandemic first hit,
Yeah.
and everything was shutting down, that's where they were. They weren't at Full Sail anymore. They were at the Performance Center. so they didn't say it was the Performance Center, but they said coming from Orlando, Florida, and it's literally the same.
I wasn't even
layout.
thinking of that because I was so distracted by the blinding lights that were shooting into my eyeballs.
Yeah, they were doing magician trickery over here, like, hey, look at all these fancy lights, while we, have this thing.
Dang
over
it,
here.
my ADD brain fell for it.
I mean, to be fair, I did not realize that till it was pointed out to me when I was listening to another podcast about it. So don't feel bad.
Okay, I feel a little better. Thank you.
So, I mean, I think for me, like, I wanted to like this because
We were trying real hard.
this show is the reason why I got back into wrestling.
Yeah,
And
of course.
you still had, like, the people that I really love on it. Like, you have your Johnny, your Tommaso, your Indy, and all those people. But there was such a bombardment of new people that it didn't seem organic. Because if you haven't seen the episode, the way that they structured it was they had, like, the first thing that you see is hyping up this fatal 4-way match.
Yes.
Which is supposed to be for the vacant NXT title, which they don't even talk about why it's vacant.
They don't talk about Joe at all. They don't explain why he's, like, vacating it.
So Samoa Joe basically came out on his own and
the
made
internet.
a video and it was through WWE, obviously, but
Yeah.
it was him by himself in his house, and he was like, due to an injury, I have to vacate the title. Did not say what the injury was, did not say for how long he was going to be out, just that he was vacating the title. This was, like, literally a day or two before,
Yeah.
like, the new
We were watching
NXT
it.
went live.
Yeah, because, like, the thing with, like, injuries is, like, if someone comes out and they're like, oh, like, they have an injury, like, there's always going to be an article being like, oh, this person has pulled their whatever. Like, you can do deep
It comes out
research.
later on, like,
Yeah.
okay, either this is...
There is
which makes me
nothing.
think that this is a work.
Absolutely.
Because if they're not saying what it is, and they're also not saying how long he's going to be gone,
Yeah.
they're just like... In my mind, I'm not big on conspiracy theories, but my mind goes to, okay, well, we don't want him as champion anymore, so
Yeah.
we're just gonna...
He was there for a little while to help us.
He doesn't fit the new
No.
mold that we're looking for, so we're just gonna pluck him out. I hope that's not the case.
Me too.
But I wouldn't put it past these new people.
That's fair.
But so they have it where they're talking, like, basically like Kardashian style, and cutting promos behind these color block backdrops.
That's so
right.
accurate,
So, like,
yeah.
I think, like, each person was in a different color room. And it was so weird to see, like, Tommaso Ciampa cutting his, like, famous garage promos where he throws the chair against the garage door in a room that's fully green.
Yeah.
And then you had Kyle, who was in a all blue room for some reason.
And
it
Dunn was red. And
it was weird. And so everything was color, like, we're making sure that you know that we are not black and gold anymore. We are now all the colors. Which, fine, that's fine, but you don't have...
That is it?
I'm trying to rationalize this. No, it's not.
It's not.
But if we're going to go that route, like, I really hope going forward, like, we're not having so much be color forward.
Yeah.
Like,
we get it.
We get it.
We get
like,
it.
we're
It's
all
very
colors
obvious.
of the rainbow now. We're not
Cool.
just two different colors, and I get it.
Yeah.
But it was weird because the whole night felt very disjointed, because you started off with the 4-man or the fatal 4-way, and then Kyle is taken out of the match because he gets attacked backstage, and we don't know why.
No.
And
No reason.
even commentary, as he's being attacked, Vic Joseph says, oh, well, I guess Kyle's not going to be in the main event.
It's like, okay.
Like, they don't even
what?
make, like, a statement. Like, Regal comes on later in the night saying that they pulled him. But then...
Which makes it seem like they knew.
Even commentary is like, oh, well, I guess that means no Kyle. And we're like, yeah, but he could recover from
like,
that. Like, you don't know what's going on.
Or do you?
Well, because also the screen was like this big, so you really couldn't see what was going on. And it was during... So, the two women's matches that we had on this card...
Because they took the match that I was so excited for away.
They pulled Raquel and Frankie.
I was so
which
excited to watch Frankie
This
beat
is
her.
also, I don't know if you know who Kevin Dunn is.
The
or
name's
if you've
familiar.
Heard his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin Dunn was backstage and was helping produce the show.
Oh, really?
Which makes total sense, because if you hear on Raw and SmackDown, when you hear of stories of scripts being ripped up right before the show, or things being rewritten like 2 hours before, that's Kevin Dunn.
And he's still here. Why?
Because he's a Vince guy. And he'll do whatever he
Cool.
tells him to do.
Love it.
So
Joy.
basically, that's what happened the night before. There were like sources backstage who were saying talent was like, we don't know what's going on. Like, we are told to be here at this time. No one is talking to us. Like, no one's telling us what is happening. Like, we don't know whose segment is staying and who's going. Like, that's not how NXT is normally run.
No. No.
They get there, like, they know who's going on. They may not know what order, but they know that you're on the card.
Yeah.
Like, these people went in, and I'm like, all right, maybe they're really trying to make it like a main roster show, because this is exactly what it's like. So I know Raquel and Frankie got cut on Monday, so the day before.
Ugh.
But there were some other stuff that got cut
Yeah.
that we didn't see. So, but during the 2 women's matches that we had, they were both interrupted by backstage segments. So you had a split screen where you had the women's match going on the slightly bigger screen.
Just
and
a little
then
bit.
The slightly smaller screen, you had a backstage altercation, or you had an interview going on.
Oh my gosh, that made
during
me
the
livid.
match.
That made me livid.
To me, that's concerning.
That makes me...
Because that makes me think that you obviously don't think that this division is important enough for our full attention to be on it. And we've already fought the good fight on this, right? Like, we've already tried super hard to get away from that image. And
Yes, and now it's just being perpetuated again.
yeah, because that's when we found out that Kyle was getting beat up, was during one of the women's matches.
Because, I guess that's not entertaining enough? Like, what?
I don't know.
I don't want it. Yeah.
So, I feel like overall, I would say the show was fine, because the wrestling that we saw was still on par with what we're used to.
And we were very grateful for that.
Because if that was shitty, then I don't feel like I would be confident going forward. And I'm still not 100% confident going forward.
But that's not like 20% confidence versus like 80% or 60%.
I really hope that they work on the story.
Yes, because that was choppy as heck.
Well, what I always enjoyed was that you didn't necessarily have to have a story.
Yeah.
Right? That was something that we talked about on the show a lot. How you can just have 2 guys meet each other in the back, and they bump each other, or they look at each other the wrong way, and they're like, all right, meet in the ring. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that was entertaining to me. That was all the story that you needed sometimes.
Yeah.
And this felt like there were so many things that they were trying to force.
Yeah.
It was, to quote Mean Girls, they were trying to make fetch happen. And it's not going to happen, right? You can't have so many stories all developing in the first episode.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like, because there was that whole Carmelo Hayes and the Trick Williams guy.
Yeah.
That's when I stopped writing.
Yeah.
I would say, guys, if you haven't seen the episode,
Wear sunglasses.
but also go back and watch the segment with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, because it's a ride. It is
Honestly.
so confusing. Like, Carmelo starts off as a babyface, then he turns heel in the middle of the segment, then turns babyface again, and then turns heel again to beat up Duke Hudson, who is a heel, is an established heel.
Yeah.
And he gets beaten up and to be made to look like the babyface. Like, it was literally like whiplash about 4 different times.
Oh, gosh.
All in one segment, and they forgot their lines in one bit.
Oh, no, they did.
And
that
you
was
could tell, and they were floundering.
awkward.
So it's almost on the verge of being comical. So if you want to laugh, I would say go watch it.
Okay.
But I went back and watched it because I heard people talking about it on other shows I was listening to. I was like, I don't remember it being that bad, but we were also pretty deep into our wine at that point, so I don't think I remember much after that.
I was going to say, I don't recall that, but you know, the amount of wine that we had that evening.
We were preparing, friends.
Yeah. And, we should... We are going to be taking a break from that wine for that very reason.
Oh, no, she was just showing... This is an audio medium, babe. They can't see you raise your cup at me.
Yes, that is fair. I keep forgetting that. I don't know why.
Raising her cup to me to let us know that we didn't say what we were drinking at the beginning. We just jumped right in.
But
we're drinking
there's a lot.
A mix of orange juice and Pellegrino. Because we're fancy bitches.
That's what we need, and no alcohol, ever.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But, so I feel like overall, like, our feel of it was fine.
In a weird, scary way.
But we're scared.
Yes.
To see where it goes.
Yes.
And that was going to be my next question, is what do we hope to see going forward?
An actual writer writing a cohesive understanding of a story or flow or of anything, maybe. Not even story, but just... I don't know if that is a writer of the person who's, like, in charge of the camera work, or if that's, like, just, like, the way that they're going to be doing it. But it was just so choppy and fast. I don't know if it was written segment or if it was, like, actual, like, footage, like, choice.
There were a lot of quick jump cuts.
Yeah, a lot.
And I have heard from other people that are smarter than me in the wrestling world that is a Kevin Dunn thing. And he loves to do that. And I think it goes back to what I was talking about before, is that if we show you all these different things, then you don't know where to look specifically, right? So if we confuse you just enough, maybe you'll be like, I think that was okay. I don't really remember much of what happened, but I think I enjoyed it. I feel like that's kind of the feel that I get when I watch Raw and SmackDown most of the time, is that, like, I can't tell you who won any of the matches.
No, because we don't
But
remember.
I feel like I kind of enjoyed myself. Because I enjoy wrestling, right?
Yes.
But that's how I felt at the end of this show. Because if anything, if it shows, like, how we may be going forward with this, is the fact that we had a wrestling wedding as our main event. And not that I wasn't happy with that wedding, because...
listeners, you know how we feel about that.
That wedding was the only thing... of any type of continuity for that entire show.
That was it.
Because we have been following this for months, right? And we have been enjoying it for months.
Yes.
But to me, when you don't have your NXT title, the highest title that you can earn on this show, when that's not your main event, especially when it's for a vacant title, meaning that a title is going to change hands at the end of this show. This is not a number one contender match.
Nope.
This was not a, gauntlet eliminator to figure out the number one contender. It was a championship match. So at the end of this show, you were going to have a new champion. Why would you not end with that? So the fact that you're ending with a wedding that has nothing to do with wrestling.
At all. Like nothing.
There were wrestlers inside the ring,
and
when it happened.
That was it. It was officiated by a wrestling wife.
Yes.
Like that.
There was one choke.
Yes.
Dexter Lumis choked the priest out,
Yes.
which that was kind of funny.
That was nice. But
it troubles me when that is your focus. Because what you end the show on, like, this is essentially your pilot episode for your entire series, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a pilot episode for a show, however it ends, more than likely that's kind of the tone of the whole show.
Yeah.
Right? So when you end your show with something that isn't necessarily wrestling related, that concerns me. Because Tommaso Ciampa won that title and got Goldie back, and nobody cares.
No, it's not even mentioned at all.
Because if you've been following NXT, you know the journey that he's been on to get that title back.
Because he never lost it.
He didn't. He never lost. He had to vacate it due to a neck injury, and he never got his rematch.
Yeah.
And he has been trying his hardest to tease a run at this. And he finally gets it, and he's not even the main event.
No.
And no, I don't want to say nobody cares, because I definitely cared. I picked him to win the whole thing.
You did.
And I was very happy about it. But at the same time, like, I was on a high, and then we go to the wedding.
I was like, wait, what?
And I'm like, okay, I could have ended. I could have gone home.
Yeah.
I forgot that the wedding was happening.
Exactly.
So I feel like for me, I hope that the focus still stays on the wrestling, and we don't move to everybody has to be involved in some type of storyline
That makes sense.
for anything to make sense.
Well,
Because to me, I watch NXT for the wrestles, right? And I watch it for, like, the people in the matches.
if we wanted to watch a soap opera, we could just go on, turn on.
We
any
could watch
movie.
Raw.
We could-
I'm just saying, like, what they're trying to do is make this main roster light.
But
Is
that's
what they're
I'm-
trying to do.
But that's what I'm confused about, because I thought that they didn't want that. I thought that NXT was getting punished for not getting the ratings and reviews that it's supposed to. So why in the world would you make it the exact same of the same product that is not getting good reviews, that is not getting the same kind of comments and conduct of, like, praise? Like, why do they think that that's going to make it better?
My theory is this is Vince's way of showing Triple H, like, hey, you messed this up.
Yeah, because
You-
it's totally his fault. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But in his
in
his brain,
whacked out brain.
you messed this up, so I'm going to take it from you and I'm going to make it better. Because I don't think he wants to actually sabotage this shit. I really don't.
No, because he's not dumb. He knows what money is in this.
There's still money involved, and there's still money that can be made from this, right?
Oh,
But
it doesn't matter about the people, but the money.
Well, that's all that he cares about anyway. I mean, the fact that he's let go so many people, that shows you. But, like, I think in his mind, and Bruce Pritchard and all those other people, in their minds, they think they're going to make this better.
Wow.
And they're going to make this a better show than it was. I really think that's what they think.
If I meet these men, I'm going to slap them all. I'm going to slap them all. Senseless.
Well,
I'm hoping to see improvement. But you're right. This is the preview episode. And to be honest, if I was a wrestling fan if I was not a wrestling fan watching this for the first time, I'd be like, what is going on? I'm a little oversensitized. I'm a little whacked out. Maybe I'll tune in like 3 weeks.
I mean,
don't know.
even me as a person who's a very seasoned NXT fan who has watched every single week for like years, there were some parts where I was completely lost. Like, we had so many new people and so many new names thrown at us. Like, can I just talk about these names for just a second?
Please do. Please talk about who I know you're going to talk about.
There is one person that when I found out who this person was, I was shocked. So there's one guy who is like the first new person that we see, and I think the person that they're going to be trying to push going forward.
Very obviously so, yes.
At the end of the show, you see him and Tommaso, they're shaking hands, oddly. Like,
so that could mean anything, but okay.
But makes me think that he's the next new person that they're gonna try to push for the title, or at least to have a run with Ciampa or something. His name is Braun Breaker. Breaker is spelled Breakker.
Shelby's favorite thing on this planet.
So Braun Breaker is his name. Now, this man, that's not his real name.
No, because it's better.
His real name is Rick Steiner. He is Rick Steiner's son. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Steiner family is a very prominent wrestling family. If you are even a casual fan of wrestling, you have heard the name Steiner.
Know the name.
You know the name. Why? Why would you change a name that is so synonymous with wrestling culture? Like, I don't understand why you would not just have him be Rex Steiner. I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to only as this idea just came to me, could it possibly be he wanted to go out without the name attached to him?
If that's the case, then he's dumb. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying it's an idea.
Because there's a couple of
It's not a good one, but-
There's a couple other people, their names are falling out of my head right now, but I know that are also second generation.
Yeah.
That
Deep
are
drop.
why?
Wow, he woke up and chose violence.
Like, why did you choose violence today?
Wow.
Why? Like, no. Anyway.
Wait, don't get heated. You got it.
I'm already there. So there's also another guy who replaced Kyle O'Reilly in the Fatal 4-Way.
Oh, yes.
His name is Von Wagner.
Oh, yeah. It was that.
You can laugh,
David's
David,
laughing.
because it's funny. His name is Vaughn. His first name is Vaughn. It's not... Von Wagner is a last name.
Yeah. I think I'm more upset that he didn't come out in a monocle and a top hat.
And I'm maybe I'm blanking, but I feel like he's also another second generation person that they
I'm not
renamed.
sure.
There were a couple of them that were there on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Who were second generations, who are very prominent names.
It's like, why not relate it
And
to...
I understand where you're coming from, how they're like, maybe we want to break away or whatever.
Yeah. It's just an idea. I'm not attached to it.
But I don't know why you would want to do that.
Exactly. Like, I mean, over at AEW, there's Brian Pillman Jr., who's doing just fine on his own. I mean, he's got the...
The mullet? It's coming back, Gina.
No.
It's coming back.
The mullet. Ugh, I hate to say that word. Ew.
His is like
It's
the
disgusting.
most extreme
It's
of all
disgusting.
mullets, though.
It's just like his
Because
father's. It's so gross.
It's like high on the sides
my
and
gosh.
like a skunk, like going down the back.
It's like he took the tail of a golden retriever and just put it on his head.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. Like, these names were just killing me.
Yeah,
And
they were
I
intense.
I giggled.
Yeah.
Like, there was one where there was a tag team. It was like Josh Briggs and, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen.
Yes, that's right.
And I was like, how in the holy hell am I supposed to remember that?
Is this Downton Wrestling?
Thank you.
I need that
Well-
right now.
They were Wrestling Imperium.
They were.
So, which also, side note, really strange to see Imperium coming out to all the colors. Like, their entrance is like
Ugh.
black backdrop
And-
with the white outline of them.
And Dvorak music, a classical musical piece that's like this dark, somber, badass music.
And then they had all that, but with colors. Because that's what Imperium is known for, is their colors.
Yes, they're bright,
And their brightness.
bright personality
With their, like, matching, like, blocked out jackets and their, like, stance of, yeah.
You know what?
What?
You know what? Oh my gosh! It wasn't until you we're just talking about this. This episode is just the personification of Drake Maverick when he was with Killian Dane.
Why do you say that?
I mean, the come out and dance kind of feeling, and he's like running around like super over and energetic. Mm-hmm. And everyone else in the room is like, "Yo, bro, like calm the hell down, like
And then
chill."
Killian's like, he's no selling it. Like,
No,
he's-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I felt watching this. That this is, I felt like I was Killian Dane. And everything around me was just Drake Maverick running around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in a bad way, but
No,
just
I
like
could see that.
the over hyper puppy that's just running around.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt all of the story was.
Yes.
Throughout this whole thing. Because you had, like, the wedding story that was kind of going throughout, because you saw the groomsmen and then the bridesmaids. And we had Austin Theory come back.
Yay!
He came in there like, I thought you were missing. He goes, I was.
That's it. Nice timing.
Thank you. It's just like, okay, you've been gone for literally 2 months. and
No
been-
explanation.
And been wrestling dark matches
Like, they
on
put-
main event
they
and
put-
Raw. Like,
Wanted signs for you. Look, like missing person signs.
and he just comes through the door and they're like, oh my God, hi.
He's like, I'm not going to miss my sister's wedding. It's like, oh, well, you missed everything else. So.
He's like, oh, so you're not staying? You're just staying for the wedding?
Oh.
Like, that was another question. And then Damian Priest is here.
Yes, because they needed a
priest,
but then he wasn't
the priest.
That wasn't the priest. And they literally just, yeah.
So I think that was supposed to be a joke on how stupid Austin is. Because they already had a priest. And then, like, to the side, Damien was like, I mean, I heard there was an open bar. So he said there were drinks.
Yeah.
But he never showed up.
No, he wasn't even in this main segment that he was, like, supposed to be in.
He wasn't even in the wedding.
No.
Like, even sitting out in the crowd.
As far as I remember, no.
But, so that's the type of stuff that I was talking about. So you start a story, and then it ends in that segment. It's not a continuation throughout the whole show, which is not what we're used to.
No.
Like, if you said something in the beginning, it was like the joke about, was it Chekhov's gun? Right?
Yes.
So, like, they start out with, you see something in the background, you're like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to that. And then it becomes the thing.
If you put a gun on the mantle in Act 1, the gun needs to go off in Act 3.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of the premise that I saw NXT following sometimes.
Yeah,
so
it was
like
great.
Going back to the famous segment with Tommaso and Adam.
Yes.
Where there was the lead up to their match at Portland, I think it was. And you started out with, like, Adam and Undisputed Era, like, making their entrance, and you saw Tommaso kind of in the background.
Just slowly.
Like, following them.
Yeah.
And, like, in every single segment, he was just kind of off center.
Like, you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it.
Unless you were really looking for him, you would see it. And then by the end, he's beaten up all other three members of Undisputed Era, and has Adam, like, through a table with an X and, like, spray paint on his chest. Like, it. And
That's good storytelling.
He had the spray paint in his cargo pants the entire time. And if you look back, like,
you can see it.
Because, again, NXT nerd, I went back and I watched. Like, you can see he's in the background with the paint.
That's awesome.
In his his pocket.
That's good stuff.
So, to me, when you introduce a character like Damian Priest, who we haven't seen,
who left
and is also now a United States champion,
and they didn't mention that.
They didn't
at all.
So it's just lots of like starting stories and then, like, not really knowing where we're going with it.
Yeah.
So I hope, like, if we are going forward with this, like, really story heavy NXT, I hope that we just get better with the stories. Like, or just, like, we'll finish a story.
Yes.
Right?
And not let someone else rip up the script backstage because he decides.
It really shows, though.
It's astronomical how obvious it's him backstage making these calls.
So, after talking about him earlier, I decided to Google Kevin Dunn. I have never hated someone so fast, like in such a short amount of time.
Oh, wow.
I listened to what you said about him, and then I read an article from WWE Insider or something like that about him, and I was like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Yeah, it makes you scared for us, right?
It does, because everything you're describing just sounds like...
I'm scared to read that article
because
now.
honestly, like, and this is something that, like, I've kind of been avoiding, like, thinking about, I don't know if we're going to have takeovers anymore. Because in the early days of developmental, they didn't have them. Any. And if we do, we may get lucky to have one that follows one of the big fours. If that. And
maybe WrestleMania.
Well, because that's...
Like, that's what I'm thinking is that's it.
And so I don't know. Like, it's sad for me to think about. I hope that's not the way that we go.
Well, here's what we'll do. If that happens and this show can't go on as it currently is, then we'll just rebrand it as This Is a Takeover 2.0. And I'll bring Chris in as the head writer. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is what we're going to do now. The show is going to... Our logos are going to be much more colorful. Our music is going to be much louder. I think I can make this work.
You know,
I mean, if
it sounds like an idea.
I'm down. I'm down. If it means that we still get to have a show, I'm fine with it.
echoing the viewpoints of every wrestler right now.
Oh my
Do I still
gosh.
get to get a paycheck and get to wrestle? Okay, I guess
Honestly,
we're in.
Okay.
that's what I was feeling during that wedding segment, right?
Yes.
Because it was almost every single person in the locker room was in the ring. And it just made me just kind of look at them, especially like the main stays. So
Oh,
you have
yeah.
like Johnny and Candace and Indy and Austin and Dexter and all them. And I'm just looking at them and they're just trying to make this work. And I'm like, good on you. Because I don't know how much longer some of these people are going to be here if this is the way that it's going to go.
And that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, you can keep pulling in talent who want anything and are desperate enough, but these people who are veterans who have had it good,
Yeah.
why on earth would you have them, like, what can you give them that would make them want to stay?
Well, there's rumors that Johnny's contract is up in January.
I was wondering if we wanted to talk about that because...
I mean, let's talk about everything
let's
at this
just,
point.
you know what? Because we also haven't mentioned something else about your heart and how it's broken right now.
It is. Well, it's not broken. It's healing.
It's healing.
It's healing.
That's true. It is.
Because I watched his match on Dynamite, and it was really, really good. So,
You should be proud of him.
So
He did amazing.
my wrestling husband, Adam Cole, he left us, and we knew it was going to happen. Literally days after Takeover, he shows up at All Out.
It was...
And it was a
awesome.
great moment.
It was awesome.
It was something that, I mean, everybody was expecting Bryan Danielson.
Well,
And what you knew deep down.
I hoped, but I thought as soon as Cole came out, it's like, okay, well,
Well, that
Danielson's not coming out.
that was the point. They were
And then I was like,
they swerved you.
yeah, well, yeah, and I cried. Yeah,
But
that was the thing.
I heard him in an interview talk about like how it was the most like secretive debut he's ever been a part of.
I'm sure
Because they had him like in a trailer outside the arena. Like he took a different flight to a different city. He stayed in a different hotel.
Oh
like
my
it was literally making it so
gosh.
like nobody knew. And I'm like, to me, that made it seem like, okay, Tony Khan really wants this to be a big deal. And for a while at NXT, he was not a big deal.
No.
And he needed to be a big deal. He was one of those people that came in that completely took NXT from developmental to a third brand. So it made sense to me when you look at it from that logic. You also see who's there.
yeah.
It's his best friends and his
The Bullet
girlfriend.
Club, yeah. And then, oh, yeah, his girlfriend.
Like, I don't blame him. But at the same time, my heart was broken
Yeah.
for the old NXT. If
'Cause
he
that-
was in this new NXT,
Lord have mercy.
I feel like he got out at the right time.
I bet he sat there listening to those developmental meetings and talking about, like, hearing the new changes and all that, and he was just sitting there in the back of his mind going,
Well, maybe he knew, but nobody else in that locker room knew about it.
oh, I'm sure he knew. I'm sure he did.
I hope so.
Golly.
I hope he didn't just get lucky. But I feel once I saw his match on Dynamite, I was like, okay, he's gonna be fine.
He's
'Cause
in good hands.
To me, like when you have so many people jumping ship they didn't jump ship; they were let go. I'm
Yeah,
gonna rephrase that because
yeah.
that's not the case. Really, you only have Danielson and Cole who have willingly made the jump.
Yes.
So all these people who have been let go from WWE who come over to AEW, I always get a little scared. Because I'm like, are you going to be another one of those people that's just going to be like, I didn't get what I wanted, so I came over here to be the top star. And there's only so many top star spots.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, when I'm like, okay, you're going to go over here where there's already a lot of people, like, how are you going to make your way through? But I mean, we'll see. I'm not gonna judge it off of one Dynamite.
I
but
definitely think he's got way more than, my favorite 2.0. Because...
formerly known as Everrise.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
They're so annoying.
Oh my gosh. Those are the other two. I'll go over and I'll slap Pritchard and I'll slap Vince and then I'll slap, oh my gosh. Not Ryan. Sorry, the guy who's writing the scripts that I don't know his name.
Kevin Dunn?
Kevin Dunn. Thank you. I don't know his name. Sorry.
You just have them all stand up in the line,
Yep.
and then
And then
go,
Everrise will be in the end. I'll just go. and then I'll come back around.
Wow, I did not know that Everrise was that high on your list for slapping.
Only the one that's pretending to be this Jersey asshole, and he sucks at it.
I don't know their names.
I don't either.
I really don't.
I don't.
But
and it doesn't matter. But anywho,
hey,
yes.
they're doing fine for themselves. They were in the main event with Darby Allin and Sting.
Yeah, well, that's the last we've seen of them.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they're doing something that we don't know.
But the thing with that is that Adam Cole has history with the Bullet Club, and AEW writes continuous stories that continue from the beginning.
So far, yeah.
So they mention the Bullet Club. They mention other things in the past. They talk about other promotions and stuff like that. So they have history. They have a backstory. So if at all else fails, he's at least in that group of people that are at the top. And then if ever, he could go and do whatever he wanted as his own.
But I wonder if someone like Johnny...
Yeah, I'm nervous about Johnny.
If he were to go, which I don't know if he would.
Yeah.
See, we've seen some of these
He's got a baby
people,
now.
Well, yes, but we've also seen some of these people who are like, oh, they're lifers. They're never going to go. They're never going to leave, and then they leave.
Yeah.
Or they are let go, and they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But...
I think he could do good on Impact.
Well, that's my thing. I feel like... I mean, I can't watch Impact.
Yeah.
So selfishly, I would want him to go somewhere where I can watch it.
Him, yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, you think of like these people whose contracts are coming up, because I know Dunn just signed a new deal with them, so he's there for at least another 3 years.
Dude.
That just recently came
I was going to
out.
say, I didn't know that one.
I think I heard that as of today, which also makes it really weird that he didn't get the title.
I had him picked.
He just signed a new 3-year deal.
Why would you not give it to him?
I don't know.
I didn't even know that, but I had picked him to be the winner. But
I mean, I'm so glad that Tommaso won, but
oh yes,
I thought that was really interesting that he signs a new 3-year deal with them, and then they're like, nah, we're still not going to give you the title.
Gotta be quicker than that. Gotta be quicker than that.
Like the guy with the dollar on the fishing rod.
Oh man.
But so I guess that leads to my last question.
Yeah.
Which this is super cheesy, but it's going to make it sound like we're not having a show anymore, which I hope that's not the case. But I just want to know like what you're grateful for the old NXT that can maybe make us or help us get through like the new NXT that's coming forward.
I'm grateful for Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
For giving NXT the chance that it deserved. And grow, and hopefully they'll realize they mucked that up.
Well, I really hope...
I doubt they will, but...
I hope that, because there was rumor that him and Shawn Michaels were still going to be in charge of the day-to-day operations.
But story-wise and all that, they're not involved in that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like how the other shows are. Like, they can pitch stuff all day long, but really at the end of the day, it's going to be Vince and Pritchard who have the last say. Mm-hmm. And then I guess Dunn now, too, because I heard that Vince wasn't even backstage on Tuesday.
Crying out loud.
Of course he's not, though. If he's not going to come to any of the other shows, like, why would he come to this one? He doesn't give two shits about this one.
He never has.
He just wants to prove a point. So that's why he has Dunn back there.
Man, he's got some complexes. He needs to go to therapy.
That man's never going to go to therapy.
No, of
Are
course
you kidding?
Not. No. I didn't say he was going to. I said he needed to.
I have enough money. I don't need therapy.
Money takes care of everything.
Vince McMahon's therapy is diving into a swimming pool full of money,
so
like
you
Scrooge
mean,
McDuck.
I was just going to say like Scrooge McDuck. Okay.
Yeah. Vince McMahon is real life Scrooge McDuck.
Okay. You know what? That's fair.
Accurate.
You got so sad with that. Yeah, he is. I think I'm also grateful for just it bringing me back to wrestling. Mm-hmm. To enjoying classical wrestling, teaching me about these moves, and I mean, honestly, I'm going to be sappy, but bringing us together and closer in a new aspect of friendship.
We've developed a whole show around it. I mean, for me, it's like what you said, it brought me back to wrestling, but also continued my love for it. Yes. Right? So, like, even if I didn't like the product on the other two shows, I knew I still had this one.
Yes, it was a constant companion.
I had my people, and even though it was always changing because people were getting called up and, you know, you could still rely on the consistency where you could find it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it
right?
does.
So, like, even though they had a roster that was ever changing, you still never really either noticed when people were gone or they gave you something else, another stake to care about.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really hope that they still do that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you have someone like a Finn Balor who has a character like the Demon King, who can come in and completely just enamor an entire audience without having to have a script in front of him.
No.
Like, that's the type of stuff that I enjoy. That's theater to me.
Yeah.
And
it is a performance.
it makes me happy when I see stuff like that. And then so that's what I'm going to go forward with it. I'm going to, like, maybe see if I can try to find those people who, you know, did the same thing that a Finn did or an Adam did or, you know, a Candace did for me.
No.
Right? And it also, to bring it back to the other shows, it makes me even more concerned that the Demon King is back on SmackDown. And you just know that bitch is going to get fed to Roman Reigns.
Absolutely.
At Extreme Rules.
I mean, it's going to be a squash as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Why not?
So, I guess this is a natural ending for the show.
Yeah.
I mean,
why not?
I feel like going forward, we're just gonna take it as it comes.
We're going to hold our heads high and...
We're still gonna watch.
Yep.
Because I am an NXT lifer.
Yes.
And
absolutely. Me
I
too.
hope that they don't prove me wrong. I hope I don't, like, future Shelby doesn't listen back to this and it's like, oh, you sweet baby angel. I'm so sorry.
We say that a lot in our episodes. I hope we don't look back on this and go,
well, because there's been a lot of uncertainty.
Absolutely. It's been in the air since we started this literal podcast. Literally.
So true, though.
It is.
We started this show during a pandemic. Like, I don't know how uncertain you can get.
When they took away our takeovers.
It's true. So friends, I know this is a really weird episode, and
Yes.
I really appreciate you guys for listening.
We just had to talk about it.
We did, because we felt like, well, one, to be completely honest and kind of a little bit morbid, we don't know if we're going to be able to do takeovers anymore,
Yeah.
if they're going to have them anymore. So we didn't want to wait until the next one to be able to talk about this.
Yeah, and then not come on for possibly months or longer.
Yeah, so, but we also felt like we couldn't ignore...
No, we can't ignore this enormous herd of elephants in the room. Because it's not an elephant. It's a herd. It's a stampede. It's the Serengeti. It's the whole thing.
It's the whole Serengeti.
The whole thing. It's the whole thing.
I'm going to start letting you write taglines from now on.
You're welcome.
It's the whole Serengeti. So, David, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Oh, right.
Yeah, we have other stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, a couple nights ago, we released our newest episode of Long Walk Talks,
Yes.
where we talked about the Dark Knight trilogy. And coming up
Yay.
in October, we're going to talk about the film Inception, continuing our Christopher Nolan discussion.
Nice.
That's one I've tried to watch so many times and have just not been able to get through it. It's pretty heavy.
It
for
is. Oh, it's okay. We'll sit down and I will watch it with you.
Me. Okay, good.
Nice.
And then I guess there's a WWE pay-per-view coming up soon. Is that?
I think it's not this weekend, but the next one, I think it's Extreme Rules. I do know that. Yeah, so you have that to look forward to.
Yeah, always. And we're coming up quick on October, so you're probably going to get at least one more teeny talk where Katie and I talk about how much we love Halloween.
Oh, I hope so. Have you guys started yours?
Oh, have we started?
Okay,
Are you
I
kidding
You
me?
guys started in August, right?
I put my Spooky Town collection out on Friday the 13th of August.
Nice.
That's right, yeah.
And then we've been slowly decorating the inside and outside of our house for about the last week now.
Well,
That's
I knew you
fantastic.
guys had started decorating, but I was asking about that awesome horror movie wheel that you guys do.
We actually started that back in July.
Okay.
Once we
yeah.
really thought about it and realized that we're about to go into rehearsals.
That's true.
We'll be rehearsing 4 nights a week throughout the month of October. We were like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and start watching horror movies now.
Yeah.
And I
it
wasn't too much of a push for you guys to watch.
No,
I love
Yeah, it
that
wasn't.
wheel, though. It's such
It's
an
awesome.
cool idea.
Yeah. But Gina, if people want to follow you online or reach out to you online, where can they do that at?
My personal Instagram is Broadway_baby 1218. And then I don't give out my Facebook. I'm barely on there anymore anyway. And I know you have it written down, so I'm not going to say it this time. I would love for you to read it to me because I messed it up so bad last time.
It's fine. We haven't had
Words are hard.
We haven't had an episode of Botchamania in a while, so maybe that'll make it.
Thanks, Matthew. Don't get me on there.
No, so if you want to follow me personally, you can find me at Slay All Ray on Instagram. If you want to follow This Is a Takeover, you can follow us at this_pod on Twitter and This Is a Takeover on Instagram. And if you want to follow all of the Long Walk podcasts, you can follow us on Twitter at Long Walk Podcasts.
Thank you very much for all of that, Shelby, and for handling all of our social media.
You're so welcome.
If you want to keep up with Long Walk Productions, you can visit us online at longwalk.us, or you can search for Long Walk Productions and Long Walk Podcasts on Facebook. To see more of our original works or hear past episodes that are no longer streaming, you can follow the YouTube links in the show notes. Thank you very much for listening, and if you enjoy this show or any of the shows on the Long Walk Podcast Network, please make sure to leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you are listening on.
Thank you, David. And for This Is a Takeover, I'm Shelby Ray Patterson.
And I'm Gina Belmont.
And you don't have to be called up to the main roster. You're doing fine where you're at.